what we're doing is a high-priced option. And, just for the record, if you're going to do options, if I were you, do the ones you can get 6 figures on. They're no harder to sell than the ones you get 5 figures on. Go into higher price properties. Build yourself a higher price list for that matter, and then focus on those things. Pop those big checks. The seller calls about a house on the river worth $750,000, which means it's probably on a crappy part of the river. It belonged to her mom, who recently passed away, and left it to her brother. Is that good? That's good. Brother didn't pay for it. Brother don't have sentimental attachment to it. Mom did. It's a gift from the gods to brother. It's now vacant. Has been on the market with a realtor for 6 months at $699. The listing expired. The seller lives 1,500 miles away, trying to decide whether to relist. They would take a deep discount for cash and tell you so in a motivated voice. In fact, before you get off the phone, she indicates any reasonable offer over $500,000 will get serious consideration. She doesn't want anyone living in the house and wants all cash. Are you going to hear that? Is anybody going to tell you, I want all cash? Yeah, of course they are. So your offer, okay, I'll option it for $500,000 or with 3 months or 6 months. To be honest with you, if I can't get a house sold in 3 months, I don't need another 3. I got better things to do in life. If we can't move it in 3, we ain't moving it. Period. We put an effort on getting buyers for that property, and we can't get it sold. Golly, get out of it is what I tell you to do. $100 deposit, so you tied up with an option agreement, which we're going to cover. Okay, you put it on the market, and you run ads to attract people, indicating that you're down and out. Please come hurt me. I'm desperate. And in fact, the ad says desperate seller. People like that, especially in these days and times, don't they? Desperate seller. I'm down. I have to sell. Man, that just brings in the bottom feeders. Since I've optioned it for $500, it's worth $750. I know I've got some room to spare. I don't have to sell it for $750. In fact, here's the thing you should know about options. Don't ever option a property if the only way you get paid is you got to sell it for top market value. I have one very simple rule about properties you option. Well, I have several. Number one, I want them in excellent shape. Because if they're not in excellent shape, I'm not touching them. Guys, we do not do work on houses we do not own. Hello? We don't do work on houses we don't own. And in fact, if any work's got to be done, the seller's going to do it, or I'm out of here. I'm not doing the work, and I'm not paying for the work, and neither are you. Let the seller do the work. And if the seller don't want to do the work, move on. Move on to something else that you can sell there. So, in this case, house in good shape. It's on the river, which is a good selling point. Good selling point. We run desperate seller ads, motivated seller, must move, and we put it on the market for, I put it on the market for $650. And let whatever comes, comes. Now somebody comes along and says, I love this house. This is our dream house. But we just can't qualify right now, but we do have $200,000. Well, bells are going off in my head, because as far as I'm concerned, the person's running around with a whole lot of my money. And I want it. So, $200 ain't $500,000 though, is it? So here's what my example says. They can pay $4,000 a month. That's not a lot of money on a $750,000 house, is it? Okay? So you just change terms a little bit. You get the idea to go back to the seller and propose new terms. Look, I got a buyer, but they can't cash out right now. They say they can cash out within a couple of years. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like for you to sell the property for $500 with $50,000 down. $50,000 down. Sell it to me for $500 with $50 down and $2,000 a month with a 2-year balloon. First payment due in 3 months. Now what did we just accomplish? We accomplished a major coup. Now in this case, guys, don't misunderstand me. This is not a flip. This is not an axe. You're actually going to take title to the property, and then you're going to sell it same day. That's the only way you're going to pull this off. This is not a contract you're going to sign. You guys see that? Okay. I'm going to take title to the property and give the seller $50,000 down. Where am I getting their 50? From my buyer's 200. Closing attorney's doing all of this. Your attorney. The seller will see a HUD-1 with a $500 price, 50 down, 450 note, back to them, $2,000 a month with 2-year balloon, and first payment due in 3 months. So what do we get out of this? We get $150,000 cash right now because we're leveraging our brain. Plus, we get $2,000 a month for 2 years because we're collecting 4 and paying 2. And plus, we get the first 2 months payment coming in with nothing going out if we sell it within our first month. Everybody get that? All right. Seller got what they want. We got what we wanted. We got paid now. Everybody was happy. Buyer got what they wanted. Buyer needed you to come in and make this deal work because they couldn't go qualify for a house, so they got their dream home. Now it's up to them to get it refinanced within 2 years. Now, in this case, what do you tell the seller when they ask you, well, what if they don't refinance it? Well, you call me and I'll handle it. If we have to, we'll take it back and do it again. But you get to keep $50,000 regardless. Whatever you can create with a human being, you get the human being to agree, you can change terms anytime. So I know that when I do an option deal, that's not necessarily the way the deal's going to come down. My whole goal is to option the property, leaving plenty of equity in it, and then go see what the market will bring in, and then go back to the seller and try to negotiate different terms. Now that we've got a bird in the hand, not one in the bush. And you'll find it very easy to negotiate short terms, especially when there's some cash involved. When the seller sees that, okay, I got a chance to get the house sold now and get it off my back and get peace of mind. Clear? Clear. Okay, next page. Lease option advantages to seller, advantages to buyer, advantages to you. You know what? I don't see any reason to sit here and dwell on them all day, but there are plenty of advantages to the seller. They get out now, they get debt relief, they get peace of mind. They got somebody provide the capital so they can make their payments, they save their credit. And look at number 9, helps seller qualify for new financing. So let's learn the rules here. If I lease option a property from a seller, and they want to go refinance, they want to go get another loan, they have income coming in to count toward their debt ratio so they can go qualify. First, that's not my problem. I'm not here on earth to help them qualify for another loan. That's their problem. However, I know that the lender will give them a credit for 75% of that income toward their outgo. So if my rent equals their payment, they are going to have a negative to count against their debt ratio. And I found that most people that we buy from or lease options from don't have any intention of going out and getting another loan. But if they do, then they're going to have to have enough income to support that 25% loss. And I'll also tell you, in today's world, the lenders, some lenders are going to want to require that lease option to have some time on it before they'll even give them credit for 75%. And the amount of that time, 3 months, 6 months, or whatever, is case by case based on the lender. The lender knows that 25% of that rent income needs to be set aside for contingencies. At least that's their theory. They don't understand that all the repairs have been passed on to me, which I'm passing on to my tenant buyer. But those are the general rules. Everybody understand that? Yeah. Okay. So it does help to qualify. Advantages to your buyer. Well, that's kind of obvious. They get immediate occupancy. They get to control the home until they can get qualified to buy it. They get time to clean up their credit. They get to live in a lovely neighborhood. I want you to picture yourself. You came through the hard times. You probably lost your house to foreclosure. Took a dip in income. And here you are renting an apartment. You have 2 kids. Every day you come home and you ask and you wonder, how did I get here? I went from having a nice home to living in an apartment where I have no privacy. I have to constantly wonder what my kids are doing. I'm always concerned for their safety. Concerned what's going on when they're out there on the playground playing. I can't wait until I can get my home back, or a home back. The desire, the internal need for a home is one of the top motivations We call it the American dream of homeownership. And especially for all those people that have had a home and now don't have a home, living with relatives or living in an apartment. And until you get into the marketplace, you just won't realize how strong that urge and desire is. Many of you do because you're in that position or have been in it. And if you haven't been in it and you're not in it, you do not underestimate what people will do to find a home of their own, move their family into, so they can have that privacy and that peace of mind. And the last thing you want to do is try to convince yourself that people don't have money, therefore they can't lease out their house. Believe it when I tell you, people find money to get into a home if they want it bad enough. They find the money. And they get it from all kinds of sources. No need for us to even try to figure out where all the sources are from. And I don't really care where money comes from. But they find it. And they find big gobs of it. And it's our job to weed out the people that can find that money, that have that money, that urge is strong enough for them to get off their butt and actually do something to make it turn into a reality, and eliminate all of those who will not do anything to get the dream of homeownership to a conclusion. We're not dealing with everybody. We're only dealing with those that have something to work with. And that something to work with is enough money to satisfy us if they want to get into a home. And of course, most don't. The minority have it. The majority don't. What's new? That's never going to change. Never has changed. Since I started selling houses in 1982, most of the people who call cannot buy a house. Not one thing has changed in that regard. Some of them can. So our job to weed out the ones that can. To your buyer, you are a godsend to them. I mean, you are like what they wake up thinking about, what they go to bed thinking about. You are the path to get into that home. And all they got to do is satisfy you, and they can see themselves moving in again. It's an absolute emotional trigger. So your job is to make those houses available to those folks. They can choose the best ones that you want and give them that opportunity. That's one of the great benefits of this business that people sometimes don't talk about. It's always about the money, the money, the money. But what a great business to be in is when you're actually helping people get out of houses they don't want to be in and get into houses that they do want to be in. And here you are, the gatekeeper, the toll booth. They get through you, they're in. And then you're offering them a chance to get into a house where they literally sit in there for years if they want to, without worrying about having to qualify for a loan, and take these axe deals. My goodness gracious. The minimum, if the house is over leveraged, I want a minimum of a 10-year lease for my seller. I will not do it. They don't want to do 10 years. Let them sit there and wallow in their own crap, let the bank take their house back. I want a 10-year minimum lease, and we have no problem getting them. 10-year minimum lease. Therefore, we're passing that 10-year lease on to that buyer. It's a beautiful thing. Picture yourself as that buyer. I can move into that house and literally live here for 10 years and never have to worry about buying. Plus, I get the benefit of the debt pay down. I'm in total control. I got my dream back, and you're letting them do it.
Ron, can I add something?
You may.
We've had 4 sellers now that have actually converted from being the seller to the tenant buyer. So we've been able to help them with their home because it was too much for them and put them into a lower priced home. So we've got their home taken care of, and then we put them into another home.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Actually, you know what? I think we've done a couple of those too. And guys, while I'm thinking about it, Stephanie, while you got the mic, a lot of your buyers for your axe deals are landlords, aren't they?
A lot of our buyers are landlords.
All right, and the only reason they're buying, I'm talking over leveraged houses, guys. I know this goes against everything you've ever been taught about real estate. I'm a landlord. Why on earth would I want to buy a house that has more owed on it than it's worth? I must be an idiot. Well, A, I'm not buying a house. I'm leasing it. B, I have no closing costs. And C, I got a big monthly spread or I wouldn't be doing it. And that's the reason they're doing it. It's not about the debt. And this is something you guys are going to have a hard time coping with. I know I did. It's not about the debt. It's about the terms.
Remember, they can't get financed. Most of the landlords right now cannot get financing.
So if they can walk into a house that's over leveraged and they can get a monthly spread and all repairs are passed on to the tenant buyer, why wouldn't you want to do them as a landlord? If you can make $500 a month on a house that's over leveraged that you got 10, 15, 20 years to buy and you get the benefit of the debt pay down, how many else can you handle a month?
Isn't it a beautiful, Ron, isn't it a beautiful thing to have landlords bidding against each other to get your properties?
Yep.
And that's what we have.
Cool. Well, if I can make $500 a month spread, let's say I have to give them $5,000 to get into this house and I'm making $500 a month net, I'm going to take my money back. The answer's 10 months. 10 months. 10 months, I'm breaking even on this thing. Now, all these years, I get all the cash flow for free. Not a hard decision, is it? And now we're talking about nice houses in a nice neighborhood, not the war zone crack houses they're used to dealing with. Different quality tenant buyers. Here's another one. So if I'm a landlord and I give them $5,000 to get this house, aren't I going to go get that same $5,000 or more back from a tenant buyer immediately? In other words, I'm getting this thing for free. So landlord, wake up. Okay, advantage to you? Well, obviously there's a whole bunch of them. You get all these free assets with no money, no risk, no credit, huge market of sellers, and a huge market of buyers. All repairs are passed on to your buyers. Either the seller's doing the repairs or the buyer's doing them. You're not doing them. There's no banks to deal with. There's nobody's permission to ask because when you lease option a house, it does not trigger the due on sale clause. Bank cannot call a loan due. Nobody's selling the house. And when they do sell a house, the bank's getting paid off. No due on sale clause problem. No attorney problem. Even they understand lease options. No closing cost. When I take title subject to, I have closing costs. When I lease option, there are no closing costs except for the attorney bill, and frankly, my buyer pays that. So a lot of advantages to you. Plus, there's a huge, huge, huge number of these things. And guys, I don't see it getting any. I don't see this market changing for a while. I mean, you think about it. We got a massive amount of houses out there that are over leveraged right now. We got a massive amount of houses that the banks already own, and we got even a larger number they haven't even started foreclosing on yet. And how many of you that are out there in the field right now have actually seen houses that were literally they've been living in for 2 years and they haven't even started foreclosure yet? Let me see your hands. Hold them up. Look at that. Third of the room. 2 years and they haven't even started foreclosing on them yet. What does that tell you? It tells you sooner or later this big mess has got to catch up. And there are millions of houses that are still going into the foreclosure process, and most of them are going to go right on through. And that doesn't even count the ones that are over leveraged now, where they're still current, but they won't be in the near future. We got a humongous amount of supply coming, and as long as that demand holds up, because of all the credit that has been wiped out, and all the problems people have financially, we got a really cool window here to create a fat lot amount of money. So get on it immediately. Take advantage of it for as long as you can. And if you do that, if you'll do what others won't for the next 2 years, you'll be able to do what others can't for the rest of your life. And that requires more coffee. What is your target for lease options and acts on page 16?